So for question number 2, right, I've got sodium reacting with chlorine, so we've got to write it out in words. So sodium plus chlorine, it gives me sodium chloride. So I've got an element reacting with an element to form a compound. What kind of reaction is that? Synthesis reaction. All right, so we identify this as synthesis. And then we balance. Right now, chlorine is the largest number, so I'll start with it. There's 2 on this side. A 2 here will give me 2 chlorines on that side, and that gives me 2 sodiums. So I've got to go back over here and make sure there's 2 sodiums. Is that ringing a bell? Yeah? Okay, let's have a quick look at number 3, which is the opposite of this reaction type. It's decomp because I've got a compound breaking down into its elements. So I have water breaking down into, what would I call this stuff? Hydrogen. Yeah, I don't put a di in front of it. Hydrogen's one of the special elements that comes as a 2. And same with oxygen. That's just how they are when they're by themselves. All right, then I've got a balance. My hydrogen already looks balanced, but my oxygen is not. There's 2 oxygens over here and only 1 here. So if I put a 2 here, that'll balance my oxygens, but I'll need to put a 2 here to balance my hydrogens. Okay, I would like you guys to do 4 through 8, and then we'll go over those, and then we'll move on from there. Okay, because there will be some where I give you the reaction in words, like we did at the end of the day yesterday, and you'll have to write the formula form out. Okay, so for number 9, similar thing to number 8, right? We've got oxygen in all 3 of the compounds in the equation. It's still going to be a synthesis reaction because it's still 2 things becoming 1 thing, right? And those things are going to be carbon monoxide plus oxygen gives carbon dioxide. All right, on this side, I have 3 oxygen atoms. Over here, I only have 2. So I'm going to make 6 on both sides. That's not going to work. Why is that not going to work? If I put a 3 in front of this, I'll have to put a 3 in front of this. That won't make 6, will it? Right? Okay. Well, let's see if we can. Okay, we can't obviously do that. What if I just doubled this? What if I put a 2 here? Okay, that'll give me how many oxygens? 4. All right, it gives me how many carbons? 2. All right, so I'm going to go over here and put a 2 here. So I've got my carbons balanced, and I got 2 oxygens here and 2 here. Is it balanced? Yeah, so it's 2, 1, 2. Same as the last one. Okay. All right. For number 10, what kind of reaction is number 10? Synthesis. All right, so I've got nitrogen plus oxygen. Okay, gives me dinitrogen monoxide. All right, so I've got to balance this. Right now, nitrogen's already balanced. Oxygen is not. What do I need to put in front of dinitrogen monoxide to make it work? A 2. So I put a 2 here. That gives me 2 oxygens, and it gives me 4 nitrogens. Okay. And then for number 11, what kind of reaction is 11? Decomposition. And I've got 1 compound breaking down into 2 parts. I know it's not 2 elements, but it's still breaking down into 2 parts. All right. On this side, the reactant side, I've got 2 oxygens and 1 nitrogen. On this side, I've got 3 oxygens, so that's not going to work. I'm going to try putting a 2 here in order to even out the odd parts of this. All right, so now I've got 2 nitrogens on both sides, so I've got to go back over here and make sure I've got 2 nitrogens. On this side now I have 4 oxygens. On this side I have 2 plus 2 is 4. All right, so I'm good. How many people are done 12? Okay. Oh, sorry, I got to write that one out in words, right? Nitrogen dioxide gives us nitrogen monoxide. plus oxygen. All right, give you a few more minutes to get ahead of me, and if you're okay past that, you can start on these ones. Don't look at that because that's wrong. The way I wrote that's wrong, so ignore that. Okay, we'll go over that one in a minute. All right, so for number 12, okay, I've got potassium fluoride, which is an ionic compound, reacting with barium bromide, also an ionic compound, to produce barium fluoride and potassium bromide. Okay, what kind of reaction is that since they're all ionic compounds? Double replacement. All right, now I got to look at balancing this. On this side, I've got 2 bromines, but over here I've only got 1. So what do I need to put in front of this? A 2. When I do that, it gives me 2 potassium, so I got to go back over here and make sure I've got 2 potassium. That then gives me 2 fluorines, and there are 2 fluorines over here. 1 barium, it's balanced. All right, and then our last one, we've got hydrogen sulfide reacting with oxygen. Okay, and that's going to give us water and sulfur. And you'll notice that sulfur is written as S8 here because it's that one that's really special. When it's by itself, it's an 8. Okay, what should I start with in terms of balancing? The biggest one, sulfur, the 8. There's 8 sulfur over here, but there's only 1 over here. So what needs to go in front of hydrogen sulfide? Okay, how many hydrogens does that give me? 16. 8 times 2 is 16. Okay. How many oxygens does that give me? 8. What needs to go here? A 4. Okay. And what kind of reaction is that? Single replacement. All right. Give you a little bit of time to get ahead of me on this. Actually, how many people have done the first one here? Okay, I'm going to give you a little bit of time then before I do that one. So for number 1, okay, because I had a mistake on my key, I'm just going to erase the whole reaction. It is a synthesis reaction. Okay, I've got magnesium reacting with chlorine. Is chlorine a special element? Yes, that's the part, that's what I screwed up on in mine. Okay, I forgot that it was special and wrote it as just Cl, when I have to write it as Cl2. Okay, that's going to form magnesium chloride, which is an ionic compound. So magnesium's a +2, chlorine's a -1, so I got to drop and swap. So I'm left with MgCl2. Do I have to do any balancing on that one? It's already balanced. Okay, and then for number 2, I've got dihydrogen oxide. Actually, I have a spelling mistake. Dihydrogen. Hydrogen. I don't know what that is, but we'll assume it's hydrogen. Okay, and that's the fancy way of saying water that no one would say. All right, gives off hydrogen and oxygen. We've only seen this reaction like 100 times already. Okay, that's the reaction. Gives off hydrogen and oxygen. But again, I have to remember that hydrogen and oxygen are both special elements that come as 2s, or I won't get the balancing right. Okay, now I got to balance the whole thing. A 2 here balances my oxygens, a 2 there balances my hydrogens, and that is a decomp reaction. All right, and I'll let you get ahead of me on 3 and 4 here. So for number 3, okay, I've got aluminum, which is Al, reacting with oxygen, just special, so O2, and that's going to produce aluminum oxide. Now I've got this is an ionic compound, so I do have to drop and swap. Aluminum's a 3+. Oxygen's a 2-, so we got Al2O3. And then we've got a balance. Okay, 2 and 3, lowest common multiple is 6. So I'm going to put a 2 there and a 3 there to make my oxygens work. And what do I need to put in front of aluminum? 4. All right, and that is a synthesis reaction. All right, and then for number 4, I have phosphorus reacting with oxygen to produce phosphorus pentoxide. Did I make any mistakes? Okay, where are my mistakes? Oxygen's a 2. Did I make any other mistakes? Phosphorus is a 4. Right. Okay. So that's going to be a synthesis reaction. And now we got a balance. Oxygen is present in the largest number, but balancing it first won't make this work. So I'm going to balance phosphorus first. Here's why it won't make it work. I'd have to put a 2 here and a 5 here, and that's not going to give me enough phosphorus. Everybody follow? Right? So that's not going to work. And sometimes we can see that right off the bat, and sometimes we can't. All right, so I'm going to balance the phosphorus first. 4 there. Okay, now phosphorus is balanced, but I've got 20 oxygens over there. So I need a 10 here. All right, I want you working on these until the bell goes.